All right, hey, welcome to another show. I'm your host, Bruce Outridge, and so today we are going to talk marketing. We're going to talk how to set up a marketing schedule, and hopefully that's going to help you, especially if you're an entrepreneur like myself, where you're busy doing a million different things and you're just not sure how to sort it all out. I mean, probably the biggest thing for most entrepreneurs is how to fit it all into one day or 1 week or 1 year, whatever it is. So a marketing schedule is a great way to do that. So we are going to just talk marketing schedule today. But if you're on a team, maybe you're on a team with other people, this is a great way to set things up with your team as well. So if you're a marketing team, this is a great way to do that. So one thing I've found is that if you send too much stuff, have you guys ever been on somebody's newsletter list and you get multiple emails a day? Are you still reading them? No, I'm not. Even if I've signed up for it, I might have started with the first couple and then I move away and, I find it too much. I can't keep up. And then after a while, I'm just trashing them even though they come in. And, there's sometimes you try to unsubscribe and that doesn't always work. But a lot of times you still want the information and every once in a while you do get to it. But I find a lot of times it's too much. So what I like to do is I like to find something that is a way of sending out information, but not all the time. I prefer just like either weekly, you can do daily if you want, but I find daily too much with the amount of email people get, and people don't even respond half the time to a lot of this email. So if you have too much email, it's actually can be hurting you and not sharing it. So I like the once a week method. I send out my newsletters. If you're on any of my newsletter lists, I send out a newsletter once a month, and then I send out usually weekly tips. And I share on social media every day, but I don't share the same things. And I try to, depending on the platform, some platforms I'm sharing more than others. Other platforms I just share once or twice a day. If you're on Twitter, I might share 3 times a day, but I don't get more than that. And I find that between that and sharing other people's content as it comes through, that's usually enough. Usually that's enough for all of us, right? So one of the things people ask me all the time, Bruce, how do you schedule so much? Like I'll go to a meeting, I'm a part of a ton of associations, and I go to meetings and people say, man, you're online all the time. Well, actually I'm not. I am online all the time, but in the morning I schedule my posts out, and then in the evening I will go back and comment or reply or whatever. So I'm on a couple times a day, but I'm certainly not on every moment of the day. I don't have time for that. I'm creating content and meeting clients and that kind of thing. So it's a lot for me to do by myself. And we have a small team. I have my wife that handles all the admin, but other than that, it's just myself and her, and I do all the marketing and the production. So that's where I am. So one of the things that I found is with social media, and a lot of you have probably found this, that you have to be consistent. If you're going to start a social media campaign, you have to be consistent. If you're not, you're just wasting your time. You're just really you're not going to get that traction that you need. And it's hard enough to get traction as it is. Even if you're consistent, it's hard to get traction. So it's really hard to get traction if you're not consistent. So having communication that's consistent is one of the things. And one of the things that I found the best way to do it is to set up a marketing plan. Now you can do this through an Excel sheet. You can do this on a pad of paper. What I do is I set it up and then I put it into my reminders. So I use the Reminders app, and there's a whole bunch of other apps. You don't have to use that app, but that's an app that reminds you every day of what you have to do. And I have basically what we call a social media schedule. In that app or in that one of the lists, you can build lists, and I'm not going to get too much into this. Maybe I'll do this as a separate business tip. But one thing you can do is you can build a list. So I have a list called social media marketing, which is my social media list. And in that list, it shows every day what I'm supposed to do. So let's say for the Cashing on Creativity podcast, that I'm going to, every day, a reminder will come up and it will say post a post to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever else, Instagram maybe, for that day. And usually I'll do 1 or 2. But if I don't know what I'm going to post, and a lot of times this is where people get stuck, is they go, what do I post? What am I supposed to post? And I will usually take that and I will just put in, right in my reminder, post older episode, or post episode from the 2 weeks ago from YouTube or whatever it is. So I put it, so a lot of times I don't have to think about it. I've got categories on the podcast, so I could actually say, hey, every Monday post a business tip. Every Tuesday post a career tip. Every Thursday post the episode. Every Wednesday, whatever it is. So you can go through and you can put those in. So those pop up automatically. So a lot of times I don't have to think, what am I going to post today? It'll say, post a career tip from last month. And I'll just go to last month's archives. I'll pick careers and I'll go, okay, I'm going to pick that one. And I post that link to my social media, and that's what goes out. And that's a good way of keeping things moving. The one thing you don't want to do is do things like this where you're creating content and all this and only use it once. You want to use it over and over again. So that's one way to do that. The other way to do this is when you're creating content is to use that one piece multiple times, okay? So using this as, let's say you write a blog post and you're going to share it on your website. So you write a blog post. You don't want to do a blog post every day. I used to do that. Trust me, you do not want to do that. It's almost that less is more. So one thing you might want to think about doing is to do one blog post or 2 blog posts a month, but then share it every week. So if you do that, you can't just keep sharing the same thing because people will say, well, I already read that, or that's the same thing, or whatever. So here's how you do it. Let's say you're going to do a blog post. You're going to do 1 blog post every 2 weeks. So you're going to do 2 blog posts a month. And what you want to do, if you do 2 blog posts a month, you want to do separate images for that. So here's what I would do. I would do that blog post, okay? So I'm going to write it out, type it out, whatever you do. You've got your article. And then I would find an image to go with that. So you're going to find either a cartoon, an image, whatever it is, and you're going to put that as your first blog post. So now you're going to put that on your website, and you're going to share that on your social media with a link back to that website with that image. So that's week 1. The next week, you want to use the same article again, but you do not want to use the same image. So what you're going to do is you're also going to get the same article, you're going to get a different image that relates to that article, and then you're going to send it out the next week with that different image, okay? So there's your 2 weeks. You have the same article, but you've got 2 different images. Now, then you do the same thing for the next 2 weeks. You write a different article, 2 more images. Now, that only gives you 4 posts in a month. That's not a daily, if you send that out every day, everybody's going to, but you now have 2 major articles a month. So let's say every Monday you share post 1 and then share post 2 with a different image. And then the 3rd week you share the new article, and then 4th week you share that new one again. Now, if you really want to do even better, is you can make that into different forms. So let's say you write the article and then you create a video of it. Then you use maybe a cartoon or a quote to go with it, and you send those out. So now you have basically 5 pieces of content with that same article. So that's how you create content on multiple forms. Now the great thing about that is if you do that, the first month it's kind of hard. Okay, so just don't worry about it. But as you create your content down the road, you're going to find that you'll have 20 pieces of content, and now you're just resharing stuff from the older months as well, whichever ones are performing well for you, and it is a great way of now giving you enough content. So if you were to do that, let's say you spend 2 months creating content and you shared that for the next 2 months, you would have a lot of content to share. So, this is where you batch your content. It's like what I do. I record a lot of my episodes, I record them all in one day, but then I schedule them to come out over time. And so you may want to think about that. Now, scheduling it is one way, and I just explained it to you in a real quick overview. At the bottom of this article or this post on Cashing on Creativity podcast website, you can find a link to click, and I will have a marketing scheduler there for you that you can download, and it kind of has a sample template for you, and it has a blank area where you can start your own template. So you'll be able to do this for you. But I just wanted to give you kind of an overview of how you can do that. Because one of the things that I found, and I'm a content guy, that's what I do. Creating content is what I do. But I was creating content 80% of the time and only sharing it 20% of the time. And you really actually want to do the opposite. You want to create content 20% of the time and share it 80% of the time. So that's how that works. That's the best way to start a marketing scheduler. So just maybe think of 2 ideas. write articles on them or create videos on them or audio or whatever, however you want to create your content, and then schedule them to go out. Create a schedule for them and find those images or illustrations. Hey, if you need illustrations and stuff, you want cartoons, a great way to do is, here's one way to do it, is to take a cartoon and post the cartoon but link back to the article. So you can put the cartoon in the article or an illustration in the article, and then you post the cartoon. So people see the cartoon, it's funny, and then you can, depending on what you put in your social media post, you can link it back to an article where they read it a little more seriously. And it's a great way to get that conversation started without being heavy right out of the gate. And so if you're looking for illustrations, cartoons, stuff like that, a great place to get that. I've got a cartoon store. It's called brucescartoons.com, and you can go there, and we have membership. So if you're looking to get all of your illustrations and stuff there, you can have a monthly membership. We're adding content all the time there. So it's a great way to market your stuff if you're looking for illustrations and that kind of stuff for your content, and then creating videos. And it's just going to give you a wide array of things that you can do with one article post. So hopefully that's helped for you today, is to get yourself set up and scheduling your content. You need to do that. That's how Google's rating you. That's how everything's rating you now, based on the content on your website. So if you have a website and there's no content going there, you're actually losing out. You're actually hurting yourself, because Google, even though you have a website, Google is looking at how engaged you are. You've probably heard that Facebook this year changed it to where they're looking at engagement. If you do any Facebook advertising, you probably notice that a lot of times they're talking about engagement. Everything's engagement. And so in order to engage people, you have to put content out there for them to engage with. If you just have a static website, then you're not going to be able to engage with them. So I would encourage you to start looking at your content, looking at how you're producing your content, looking at the type of content that you have and the audience that you want to attract with that content, and then turning it around. You'll notice I'm an artist, and a lot of you know I'm a cartoonist. And if you go to my website, bruceoutridgeproductions.com, you will notice I do a lot of writing. I'm probably one of the few artists that do a lot of writing of articles, and I love to write. Not everybody loves to write. But you'll see that is one of the reasons that we get a lot of traffic, is because of those articles. And even if it's about an event, or even if it's about something else, that's how I market the business. And it's a lot of organic traffic, and it really helps us in bringing in clients to the business. So I want you to just think about that for your business. It can really help. I see a lot of people do this. I set up websites for a lot of people, and they want to do blogs, they want to write, they want to get involved and get engaged with their community, but they don't. And if you don't, you're really not. Having a website's one thing, having an active, engaged website is another. And that's something that's done over time. We've been doing this since 2006. I started blogging. I've been doing this for a long time now. And it's something that now is comfortable. I'm on a schedule, but it took me a while. So don't feel bad if you don't have a schedule today. The best time to start is today. So make sure you go here. You can check out in this article on cashingoncreativitypodcast.com. Just check out the article there, and you can click on it and get it downloaded if that's what you want to do. And we're going to go out with our tune of the week here. Because we're talking marketing, I have a fun song. You've probably heard me talk about it here before, but I have a fun song from the Killin' Time Band called Johnny Maskin Tape, and it's about a guy who wants to market the band and does it. It's pretty strange. So it's a fun song. It's very fitting for this marketing episode. And don't forget to check out our tune of the week. Not tune of the week, but the business tip of the week, which we started in June. So every Monday we put out a business tip. It'll come out on iTunes here. It'll also come out on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you're following us on Facebook and Twitter. And you can also check out the YouTube channel. And if you're enjoying the show, please leave us a rating and review. It's a great way for us to get seen through iTunes and help us grow our audience. And the more we can grow our audience and the more we can help people, the more we can help you. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you later, and bye for now.